On December 6, 2024, a court in Russia sentenced 4 of our sisters to forced labor for extremist behavior. What was this so-called extremist behavior?
In the January 2025 issue of the Watchtower, it offers a front cover of what is supposed to be Mount Sinai. In it, they feature a study article entitled, "Give Glory to Jehovah." The article goes on to talk about various ways in which people in the world go through great lengths to bring attention to themselves.
Have you noticed that many today seem self-absorbed? For example, some go to great lengths on social media to draw attention to themselves and to their accomplishments.
However, the article goes on to state how people should go through even greater lengths to bring attention to Jehovah.
In this article, we will discuss what it means to give Jehovah glory and what should motivate us to do so.
Okay, our goal is to learn all of these. So, let's add another truth we love to teach. Which scriptures show that God has a name? Ophelia?
Psalm 83. 83.
That's okay. You can use the brochure. Look here under the heading God.
18. I knew it. Psalm 83, 18.
Yeah, very good. Now what does it say?
They then describe the term glory as anything that can be made to make a great impression on someone.
Glory in the scriptures means anything that makes someone or something impressive.
Suddenly, a tremendous earthquake, apparently coupled with volcanic activity, shakes the ground beneath their feet, while lightning, thunder, and the deafening sound of a horn fill the air.
The article then goes on to ask the reader to think about ways in which they might go about giving Jehovah glory. But here's where things get interesting. In paragraph 9, it gives the example of Angelina.
She courageously defended Jehovah's reputation at the company where she works. As a new employee, Angelina was invited to a meeting where those who had recently joined the company were given the opportunity to tell their colleagues something about their background. Angelina prepared a slideshow that reflected the joy she has as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. However, just before it was her turn to speak, a fellow worker introduced himself as someone who had been raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. He began to mock our beliefs. Angelina says, "My heart was pounding, but I thought to myself, am I going to allow someone to lie about Jehovah? Or am I going to stand up for him?" The tension was palpable, yet Angelina maintained her composure, and as she tactfully defended her beliefs. Angelina says, Jehovah deserves to be defended. It is an honor to speak up for his name. We too have the honor of praising Jehovah and glorifying him, even when others dishonor him.
Angelina, promoting her religious philosophy to her co-workers, and then, when her notions are not well received, confrontation. Notice in the study article question for the paragraph, it reads, "What did you learn from Angelina's experience? See also the picture." Here's where things get a tad bit subliminal. If you look up at the picture after paragraph 10, you're given 2 images. The image on the left are of 2 sisters in service, obviously being persecuted by someone in the background. Going off of what we just read, requiring to stand up, defending Jehovah against his enemies, putting on a great display, bringing Jehovah glory, what would be the outcome? Now look at the picture on the right. A prisoner in shackles, a sympathetic guard. The article then goes on to explain that the prisoner you see in this picture is one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And by the way, he's awaiting the death penalty. standing up for Jehovah, leading by example.
These sentences are the culmination of over 6 years of criminal prosecution of these Christian families. The husbands of 3 of these sisters are already serving unjust prison sentences.
The article continues. Under the subheading, "How will Jehovah glorify his name in the near future?" it explains how Jehovah will start executing his judgments on Babylon the Great, eliminating all of those who oppose him and blaspheme his name. The article ends with one final question. What are you determined to do? Again, urges you to look at the picture. Keep this in mind, because here's where things get shocking. Glancing forward in the same magazine under the subheading, "Make Decisions That Please Jehovah," on page 15, you'll notice a picture of 4 Jehovah's Witnesses. All 4 are holding cell phones, looking at an image. 3 of them seem disturbed by what they see. However, the brother with the tie is pointing at the image. But notice this, Watchtower goes out of its way to zoom in on the cell phone, revealing to us a set of numbers, revealing a specific date. This date seems to refer to May 7th, 2025, which also happens to be the 25th anniversary of Vladimir Putin's reign over Russia, who, by the way, labeled Watchtower an extremist organization in 2017. However, look at the wording on the Kingdom Hall in the background. This suggests that this is a Spanish congregation. Now keep this in mind. In different parts of the world, often the day and month are switched, meaning what we could be seeing is the date of July 5th, 2025. But why? In 1999, a Japanese woman by the name of Ryo Tatsuki published a comic book entitled The Future I Saw. In the book, she prophesied that a major disaster would take place in Japan in 2011. Remarkably, in 2011, Japan would experience one of the worst earthquakes in its history. But here's where it gets interesting. In that same book, she predicts another date, July 5th, 2025. Her vision includes earthquakes, tsunamis, and yes, a volcano. Mount Fuji, Japan's most renowned time bomb, has laid dormant for over 300 years.
Here in Japan, a government-appointed panel has come up with measures on what to do if Mount Fuji erupts on a massive scale and spews large amounts of ash. Mount Fuji's last confirmed eruption began in 1707.
In March of 2025, Japan issued a warning for its people to prepare for the eruption could be imminent. Could this potential upcoming disaster be what Watchtower is signaling? Putting a volcano on the front cover of their magazine? Just like the volcano on the cover of this comic book. Also, consider this. On page 25 of that same Watchtower, a Japanese setting. A woman molding clay. But what is this? Perhaps a message. Look again at the image here. There are 3 shadowy figures in which, at first glance, could be dancing. But look closer. Notice, above the date, there is a round object coming into view. The figures are looking up at the object as if they are almost in fear of what they are seeing. Fallout from a volcano? Or maybe something else. After the atomic blast in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the surrounding surfaces were bleached due to the intense heat and light from the explosions, leaving the surrounding objects and people as atomic shadows. Atomic shadows. Associated with this picture is paragraph 4. Notice in the paragraph, it gives a hint to a certain event.
Where and when will the gathering be held? How large will it be? Who will supervise it? Who will attend? What activities are planned?
What activities are planned? What activities are planned indeed? Why is Watchtower giving us this specific date? And why are they signaling a violent confrontation? Is Watchtower yet again predicting another end-of-the-world scenario?